Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Turn it on.
Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah.
Hey. Cheers.
Cheers.
First and foremost.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for being
coming.
here.
Today we are drinking a chilled red wine called Kitties, and you'll know soon why.
So before Aicu starts to talk about the food,
Yeah.
that is delicious. I would like to introduce our very special guest, Tam Gryn. Is that your full name?
Yeah, well, my full legal name is Tamara Greenbaum. Tamara Greenbaum. But I'm mostly known at work as Tam Gryn.
Tam Gryn.
That's how I always knew your name. I didn't even realize that your full name was Tamara because Tam used to come to my studio, and on the studio, like on the roster, it was always Tam Gryn. So that's how I always knew you as well.
Most people do.
Tam is a lot of things, but in her career, she is the curator for the Museum of Sex in Miami. We have a lot of questions for you, and we want to talk a lot about everything about your whole life because you're a very interesting person. So we're very excited for tonight.
Yes, and for our menu, we have, the first thing is these little pieces of toast with some honey-to-go cheese that are topped with prosciutto wrapped fig, drizzled with some hot honey. And la piece de resistance is these penis-shaped pastas in a cream sauce with chicken breast and chicken sausage meatballs.
Beautiful.
Wow, what an honor.
We love it. Very themed for you. We love a theme. It honestly
They're so
also
cute.
really goes really well with this weather because it is looking like the end of the world outside, like very stormy, and this is like comforting and creamy and delicious. So
That's what she said.
dig in.
Thank you.
She sure did.
She sure did.
She sure did.
Hell yeah, these are just going in.
These are so beautiful.
Thanks. I think I overdid the prosciutto a bit, but
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Okay. Hold on. Let me swallow. That's what she said. We're gonna have a lot of that's what she said
You
tonight.
didn't even give me a chance to respond.
It's so big.
that's what she said.
Okay, so where do I even start? I want to ask you. I know that you have been working in art for a long time, forever. But
I'm going in.
Yeah, please.
like, how did this come to be? Like, how did you get to where you are?
Okay, long story.
Beautiful.
Let's hear it.
So
I
I'm
love the story.
I'm from Caracas, Venezuela, and throughout my childhood, I was always a dancer and involved in performance. And my dream as a kid was to be like a Broadway star. And but I grew up with a mother and grandmother who were like culture obsessed. So they would go almost every weekend. They would take me to the opera or to the Philharmonic.
Wow.
Or to museums
beautiful.
and galleries, yeah. So,
I'm so sorry to cut you off. May I serve you, lady?
Please.
yes, please. So kind of like a very rich, culturally rich household. Like my grandma would sit with me before going to the opera, and she would explain to me like what we're going to see and the whole story and why was it important. So I like really grew up inside this environment of like patrons of the arts. So I was very interested in anything that had to do with culture from a young age. But you know, I had a lot of cousins and brothers, and not everyone necessarily connected to it. Like I definitely connected to it, and it became like a lens in which I see the world. For many reasons, like growing up in Venezuela because of the dictatorship, and I was, you know, exposed to doing ballet with girls from very different backgrounds than what I came from, socially, economically. So, you know, it was like the way in which I experienced a lot of my childhood, and then the dictatorship, you know, like shut down a lot of this like cultural centers and theaters and ballets, and so it, you know, it was all connected in one way or another.
So you experienced it before a lot of it went away.
Yes.
Wow.
And experienced the going away of a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, super crazy. but Venezuela still is one of the, a lot of people don't know this, but it's still one of the global centers of like classical music. There's a,
Really?
Yeah, there's a thing called El Sistema, which is where a lot of the famous conductors of the world, like Gustavo Dudamel from the LA Philharmonic, come from, and many, many others, like conductors of La Scala in Milan or in philharmonics in Norway, they all come from Venezuela. So there is this like appreciation for culture that is a little bit, you know, in the mainstream in Venezuela. So we can be famous for our good things and not just, you know, the bad things that happen in the country. So I kind of like held on to that. And then growing up, you know, I knew that I wanted to leave the country. You know, I wanted to experience the world. And for years, I was kind of flowing with whatever opportunity I got. My father has a European nationality, so I had the privilege of being able to go and study in Europe. And I decided to study art history in France. And I had my first job at an art gallery. And I worked for a fashion designer while I was there as well.
Wow.
But the university
so
was
cool.
on strike for almost the entire time that I was there.
Why? Like a strike for what?
It was
the professors?
So in France, there's strikes for everything.
I've been seeing that a lot lately.
As
actually.
we've
Yeah.
learned.
Yes.
And one of the strikes that was like really big when I was there was the students protesting a new contract that the government wanted to impose, where your first job out of college would have like conditions, like welfare conditions on the first 6 months. Because, you know, in France, it's like a welfare country, so it's hard to fire people, and there's a lot of rights that people get. So the government wanted to like alleviate, at the time, like that, you know, weight for businesses, and people like went crazy rioting. So I didn't have class for like a year, and I didn't know what to do.
Oh, man.
And in the meantime, you know, I traveled, and I spent a few months in Italy, and then, you know, I studied Italian for a while, and I worked for a family there. So I was just like flowing. I studied in Boston for a year, and I did a lot of like performance art, and I thought maybe, you know, I would become a journalist at some point. I studied that for a while, and then I decided to go back to Paris, see if the university would jumpstart. It didn't. So then I did that for years. So then I decided to move to Israel in 2006, and I got a scholarship. Like it just fell on my lap. I got a scholarship to study politics. I had no idea about politics or anything. They were just like, it looked good for the university to take like a Venezuelan student in the midst of everything. So they gave me a full scholarship, and the condition was that I had to fly back home and convince other students to like go to this university.
Oh my God.
So they flew me back to Venezuela, and I went to my high school and like convinced students to go back to Venezuela. So I wasn't working in art for like a long time. I actually worked with the Ministry of Exterior in Israel and with the UN. So I was flying to Switzerland and going to like UN conferences and working like as a student. Yeah, it was crazy.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I had
Wow.
a lot of changes like that. And then,
But how did they reach out to you? Like, how did they even get a hold of you to choose
so this
you?
is a funny story. When I was in Boston, when I lived there for a year, and I went to Emerson College, I had an Israeli boyfriend. Okay, I don't know if I don't like the word boyfriend. It stresses me.
Special friend.
Special friend. And he came to visit me in Paris, and he saw that I was 20 years old, working for a fashion designer, not studying, you know, going out every night. He was like, you probably should like not
Apply
live
yourself.
here, not live here. And he literally filled out the paperwork, and he was like, you should move to Israel, like make aliyah, and got me this scholarship. And then I didn't even know what I was applying to be honest. And then when they accepted me, he's like, you should come at least see the place that they're offering you like a full board. And I was like,
which university was that?
Reichman.
Okay.
So the IDC. So I decided, it was 2006. I'm like, sure, I'll go. And then the 2 days before, the Lebanon war starts.
That's what I was gonna
God.
say. Like you were there.
And my parents are like, you're not going. I'm like, but Venezuela's more dangerous. Like my parents from Venezuela. I was like, I mean, where am
Where
I
do I-
supposed to go? Like, I don't know what to do.
Where would I rather die?
And you know how Israelis are. They're like, nothing's happening here.
Fine.
You know, it's fine. So I was like, fine, I'll go. And
Who has a shelter that has a party tonight
Exactly.
amidst the sirens?
So the first day that I arrived, and this guy, like, to this day, he knows me very well. He takes me to a park, Park Ayargon, in the middle of Tel Aviv. And there's an opera happening at the park.
Of course there is.
And it's free, you know, and I remember the mayor, who's still the mayor, right, Hulai
Yep.
at the time.
Still there.
He gave a speech, and he said, like, that the citizens of Tel Aviv were opening their doors to the citizens of the north who were escaping. And for me, that was like, what? Does that happen? Like, that's insane. I've never heard of a country that does that. So that was like moved by that. And then the opera, I was literally like, at that point, I was like, where do I sign?
All the
I hadn't
signs were
even
there.
seen anything, you know. I was like, I like this place.
It just felt right.
Right, and then he took me partying, and then I was like, where's,
Easy.
like, I'm like, where am I?
So if you like to party in
I'm
Paris, you're
moving.
definitely gonna love
Right.
to party in Tel Aviv.
And then
for
I
sure.
remember going to the university, and there was like all of these beautiful orange trees in the entrance. Meanwhile, in Sorbonne, where I was studying in Paris, there's literally like swastikas and communists, and like, you know, it was another environment, you know. So I literally went to Paris, picked up my stuff, moved to Israel, 2006, and I went to university there, studied politics, worked with the UN, worked with the Ministry of Exterior. They called me to the army, and they were like, we don't need you. Like, I think
You're more useful elsewhere.
They literally said, like, we don't think you can follow orders. I was like, that's a good assessment. Probably can. So,
Wow, I've never heard of the idea of turning anybody down.
but I was also like a
But that's-
20-year-old immigrant, you
No,
know,
and
who didn't speak really like a lot of Hebrew or almost
I was gonna
anything.
ask if
Yeah.
you like understood or because you were
Barely.
able to understand the mayor.
Well, somebody was like translating
Oh,
for
okay.
me, or maybe I was speaking in English. I don't remember. When I was in Reichman, I was part of a dance group, and that's how I met all my closest friends. So I loved it there. It was a great experience. And when I graduated, I just needed like a job. And I got a job at a financial intelligence, like a business intelligence company that did like financial reportings in every single language. It was a hilarious office because everybody was from like a different country. So you had like, you know, someone from France, someone from Italy, someone from Poland, someone from Russia. It was a crazy office. And then you had like
The UN and
Arabs,
the financial outfit.
Arab Israelis, and it was like crazy. And then somehow I managed to find a job at an art collection at the time. And I was like, okay, finally, after all of this journey, I really wanted to like go back to art. And that was a wonderful job. It was at the time one of the biggest private art collections in the world. And I got to meet artists and curators who are now leaders of like every single museum. And like it was a job that really opened a lot of doors for me. And I was, you know, starting.
And at this point, you're still living in Israel.
Yes.
Okay.
But I was flying here and there. Like I got to go to like Art Basel, Switzerland, and
Oh, wow.
all these different places.
Which I didn't. My small-minded brain thought Art Basel was only in Miami, and that I discovered.
Even
all
though
over the world.
Basel is a city.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Originally, the original is in Switzerland.
Yep.
The second one was in Miami, and now you have Paris.
There's also
And-
China.
I was
Hong Kong.
I
Hong
thought
Kong was
Yeah,
the
I
third.
get emails about it.
Yeah,
I was
Hong
like,
Kong
what,
was the
why am I
third, now
getting these
Paris,
emails?
and now Qatar.
Okay,
Oh,
I was gonna say Dubai, but okay, Qatar.
Qatar.
This was the first year they did that. So I'm working at this art collection. I'm getting married at the same time to someone who is also Venezuelan and Jewish like me, who is a friend of my brother's. At this point, my brother and my mom, I convinced both of them to move to Israel as well. So I had my family there.
Just
it was
do your
great.
job.
Wow.
Right.
Above and beyond.
And
Israel was like, you really did this.
yeah.
That's why you didn't have to go to the army.
Right, that's-
because
Then they gave you a pass. They gave you a pass.
I was an ambassador, and then my husband at the time wanted to do a program. He's a developer, a programmer, and he wanted to do a specific programming course that they only had in New York or San Francisco, and it was supposed to be only 3 months. So the headquarters of my art collection where I worked were in New York. So I was like, perfect, we'll go for 3 months, put all our stuff in storage, and we're still in America. 2 kids later, we were like 5 years in New York, 9 years in Miami, and yeah, and I just kept working in different aspects of the art world since
Wow.
then.
Wow.
Fascinating
What a
time,
fucking
yes.
story.
Yes, that's
Truly
Five
my
years.
life story.
That is a biopic I would watch.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes.
That is
Amazing.
really,
I'll
really
write it
amazing.
I want, first of all, you 1,000% should. Yeah.
Yeah,
delicious.
It's amazing.
so good. Amazing.
Everything is amazing. The little
penis
the little
pastas are
penis.
so
I love it.
The little penis pasta.
Honestly, the mouthfeel of
Amazing mouthfeel.
yeah, I know
Impeccable
I know that was
mouthfeel.
very, coated, but really the mouthfeel of these penis pastas are wonderful.
10 out of 10.
Thank you, Amazon.
It's really interesting to me how like some of the countries that were most leading in the world as far as culture, as far as art, and so on and so forth, were also overtaken by crazy totalitarian governments, i.e. Venezuela, Iran. Like, it's so interesting to me how that Ukraine, like how all of these countries, like, because the country itself, or rather, the government isn't a reflection of the people of the country at all.
Say that louder for all the people that literally don't understand that in the world.
Well,
That is the whole world does not understand that. They
Yeah.
connect the government to its people every
I
time.
think the reason why that happens is because the systems of enforcement, like the literal structure of government itself, is vulnerable. So, like in America, for example, you have some sort of checks and balances. Like in Venezuela, we didn't really have that, in a way that could like protect a democracy.
I'm not seeing the checks and balances recently, but
I mean,
I know they're supposed to
I know,
exist.
I know it's definitely like the closest it's been maybe to some sort of risk.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
There's definitely been moments that I've seen here that I'm like, that reminds me
Concerning.
of things that I lived back. But at the same time, it's for me it's hard when people say,
Like when there's full comparison.
when it's for comparison, because I'm like, yeah, no. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Like living in a place where the shelves are empty in the supermarkets is not the same.
The only time I've seen the shelves empty,
COVID.
no, because I wasn't here for COVID.
Oh, that's right.
This past Sunday, I didn't realize that so many stores were closed.
Yeah.
So the 2 Whole Foods that I got to visit this past Sunday were ransacked. People were like, I don't have food, I need to go. Like they were like in a panic mode, and I'm like, Publix will open tomorrow.
Jesse and I got to the Walmart next to our house because first of all, that's the grocery store where we go to shop. I talk about it all the
We
time.
spoke about it last time.
It's a great place to shop, but not on this last Sunday.
I
No.
also shop at Walmart.
I had like a gummy right before entering, and like as we were entering the parking lot, it was washing.
She was struggling.
It was
you.
washing
She
over me.
was
and-
struggling.
No.
I was
not only
nervous.
I.
It wasn't your fault. It was because cars were coming at you from every direction. You're like,
Every person in that parking lot was fucking struggling.
Yes.
I happen to be
the
struggling
most.
within myself
Yes.
as well as with other people.
But then once we stepped inside, panic attacks ensued.
Holy fuck, there was nothing anywhere. It literally felt like we were preparing for fucking doomsday. Everybody took all the food from the fucking supermarket that day. It was insane. It's something you don't really think about, you know what I mean? Because you have so many grocery stores around you all the time, living in a place like South Florida, and everything is always so
Yeah.
packed. So
The one time I felt that, the year that I moved here in 2017, I had 2 little babies. There was Irma, right, the hurricane, and we had no idea what to do or what we were supposed to do. And the media was painting it like, this is Andrew and this is him. Like, we're gonna die.
Oh my God.
Say goodbye.
Ridiculous.
Like, yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, that's how I remember
like
the
what's happening
photo.
right now outside.
I remember the photo like in the news that it was like Andrew that destroyed Miami was this big and Irma was supposed to be like 1,000,000 times worse. And we went to the supermarket and there was like no water. I remember there would be no gas. no gas, and like that was. It's like, okay, we're climate change refugees now. Great. After everything we've gone through, this is interesting.
I remember Irma so well because I was working at the restaurant at the time, and I got off a shift, and like they kept us there for far longer than they should have because it started like really coming down. I was like, you know what? I need to like go get gas. I only have like half a tank of gas.
You were living here?
In 2017? Yeah. I went back to Israel in 2018.
Yes.
And I go to the gas station and I wait in line for like an hour. I was worried that by the time that I would get to the pump, there would be none left. I fill up my gas. I drive home. I get out of my car. I go inside. I wake up in the morning. I go to get something from my car. And that is when I realize that I never turned it off. And this is 2017. My car wasn't turning off on its own. I actually literally just spoke to Tommy about this like the other day because I stood in line for an hour, and when I got back in my car, I was in the same level as I was when I went to get gas in the first place. And I was like, that's it, no more. We're just gonna be stuck here.
Oh,
We're just leaving Florida.
We're just
We're moving back to Israel.
No, it was.
I'd rather bombs.
Week.
terrible. Terrible.
Well, to be fair, also in 2018, Israel was
Yeah,
pristine, prime time.
I know. I feel like I lived there
It was.
during very quiet years.
So
I
you
have-
lived there from 2006 until
2013. It was
Very
like,
quiet.
We had one.
2012.
2012
We
was
had one that war.
Mudanan, no?
We were running to the shelter. Only that one war.
Yeah,
By
because
that-
that's when we first moved back, and I was in hysterics like 24/7, like downing whiskey and Xanax. Like,
It's very
did you hear
dangerous
that boom? Did you hear that boom?
to do at the same time.
Very dangerous.
You know what? I am here.
Whatever you need to do to survive.
I am here. I have never been committed.
I'm being a hypocrite. I should do the same.
You know what I like about this dish, which I usually doesn't happen to me? I love food when it's like boiling hot, and this tastes amazing even if it's not.
Wow, that is a
I
compliment.
love that. Yeah,
Good. I'm
That
glad
is a
you
very
like
serious
that.
compliment.
very specific.
Very specific
I have a thing
compliment.
with temperatures.
Do you?
Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so then let me ask you this. So then, for your coffee in the morning, do you need it to be boiling hot?
I need like most things
Everything?
I consume. I need to be boiling hot. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have
Unless
never
it's
been
like a
able to
salad.
understand that. Israelis, for instance,
Yeah.
ask like at
Extra
the
hot.
coffee shop will say, "I want it to be boiling hot." And if you've ever worked in an Israeli coffee shop, there
They
are
mean it.
people that you cannot satiate their hotness level that they need because it will
yeah.
arrive boiling fucking
It
hot.
annoys me a lot when I buy a coffee at a nice place and it's not hot. It annoys me a lot. And like some places will ask you like, how hot do you want it? I love that.
I've never gotten that question.
I've never had that question
It's
asked.
recent. Like people started asking recently.
There's more awareness.
I can't consume a beverage unless it is lukewarm.
Oh my God, no,
Makes
coffee
sense.
needs to
I
either
make
It makes more
myself-
sense, you know? Like
I
Or
make
ice.
myself a coffee.
and you do a lot of tea, right? I remember in your studio.
Yes, I used to, but this
Then
is
she
actually
learned.
But then I learned that tea actually.
Coffee is better.
Coffee is my number one OG holy grail. I cannot start my day
It
without
makes you
coffee.
feel like $1 million.
Yeah, makes me feel like $1 million fucking bucks.
Yeah.
But tea, I love tea. And I used to drink like 2-3 cups of tea a day because while I want to drink that much coffee, I
Yeah.
really shouldn't because
No,
I
of
don't
course.
sleep at night. And so but I really love a warm beverage. Like I love like something that makes me
cozy.
feel cozy. Like you, I don't like feeling cold. So anything that warms me up is fucking welcomed. But then I went to the fucking dentist's office and they told me that tea stains your fucking teeth more than coffee does.
More than coffee.
More than coffee.
Yep.
Fuck tea.
Fuck tea.
No, I'll
mean,
still
listen.
drink tea.
Have you guys heard of JoJo tea in Miami?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna blow your mind.
Okay.
He does. So this is a whole other story that is not connected to anything we're talking about. But there's this guy in Miami, comes from a Cuban family, okay? He's young, like, I don't know how old we all are, but like around our age, right? And he won the Masters Teacup of the world on behalf of the United States
I love that
on
it's a
tea.
cup. You know, like
The Masters Cup, I don't know
no,
what
no,
it's
I
called.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, but he won it,
What
and
kind of tea?
America had never participated in this competition, which is usually like Russia and China and
Right.
you know Japan and countries that they drink tea, and he knows everything about tea. I could tell you like 20 stories that he told me that are super interesting. But every Saturday or once every 2 weeks, I don't know how many times, he does in his deposit where he has all the tea that he sells, he does like a tea party where they do vinyls, like DJs, they play vinyls and tea. And
Sign me
apparently
up.
tea helps you like stay up all night and in a way that is zen and that is calm. And he also has a pop-up inside Factory Town.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, where people go and they're like,
I go there all the
over
time.
here.
I've never seen him.
he has
Maybe
he's
you've
inside
never
a
looked for him.
inside a container, like in, I don't know if it's in the VIP
We
area.
never go in the containers.
Right.
We never go in
So
the
he's
containers.
there serving tea to people
There's
who
a coffee
are,
place there, and it's in the shape of a coffee.
bean.
No, what are those Cuban
Maquineta.
cafecita thing?
Maquinetas.
Sure. The shape of the
Like the pot?
yes.
Yeah, I think
coffee
it's
serving
What's it called?
is-
Maquineta, no?
like
not
the
sure.
one
Yeah.
that's like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the Greca or the
That is
maquineta.
what
Yeah.
the cart is shaped like, but I've never
That's
seen
very
tea. I've
cute.
only seen this coffee cart because it's
I-
outside.
I think he's like tucked in.
Wow. Well, next time we
Very
go, we'll
well
be looking for him.
designed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Very
I-
cool.
Now I need to go to
Miami
fucking Mac Factory Town.
concept.
Yeah, I wasn't
I'd rather
planning
go
on
No,
to
we
going
can
for
go
a
to
while.
his place, like to his store, which is much better.
Where is it?
I'm sure.
Vinyl sounds so much better to me than.
It's in
Yes.
Mimo.
Perfect.
Amazing.
That's a good
Yes,
area.
we
I love
absolutely
Lima
fucking
area.
Yeah, it's great.
It's right across the.
So Miami,
and
I
also-
love that Miami is like such an open-minded city that allows for this kind of contradictions to exist.
Yes.
And other places like New York, like in my experience when I used to do art shows in New York, for me the feeling was like, first of all, you're preaching to the choir because most people, at least politically, they agree. Like it's like, okay, we all agree that this is good, that this is bad, that this person's good, that this person's bad.
Here, you
And-
never know.
No, here it's like very purple in so many ways, and there's also an innocence where people enjoy culture in a way that is not snobby that I love
Yeah.
about Miami, and it allows for more experimentation and for more people to come up with ideas that don't match, like tea and Factory Town, you know.
Sure.
Like that's such
So
a
cool.
Miami thing,
Absolutely.
you know. Yeah.
Like you're saying, like you wouldn't see that in New York because New York has incredible parties, but you're saying you wouldn't expect to see a rave and this tea guy.
Less so,
Or
in my
ideas,
experience.
similar
Yeah,
ideas.
like I
Oh,
think
that's very cool.
Miami is more open to.
I agree. I
Weird.
think there is something about that, like, the naivety of it all that
Like we're
New
younger.
York is like this very established art hub of the world, and it has a name for itself, and the artists of New York are very much that woe is me artists, I feel like. Whereas in Miami, it is a lot more like rugged and a little bit more rough around the edges and less.
And it has to do with the scale too, because of the nature of New York, everything is small, and artists usually have smaller places to work with, and you're riding the subway, and even when you're walking on the street, you're like so close to people that work usually is about identity. You know, work is like, you know, what do I feel? What I noticed when I moved here in 2017 and going to artist studios is that first of all and back then more than now, they had like more space. There's nature, which is so wild and untamed in Florida. And artists make work about architecture, and they make work about nature and water rising and space, and you can see your work, you know, you can stand far away from it and have a sense of scale. And in New York, it's all like, you know, it's more like this, it's closer,
And I mean,
it's
like,
compressed.
what is it, like 3-4 months out of the year, you're stuck in your studio, you can't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
And here,
And
you're
they
free to
both
roam.
work, you know, for depth in its own, you know, in its own way. But that's very interesting about Miami, that, you know, there's that perspective.
I've never heard it put that way, but it makes
Love
a lot
that.
of sense. Yeah. I love that.
How has it been to be in this role of art curator of the Museum of Sex in Miami?
So first of all, when I started over a year ago on this, like the Museum of Sex Miami opened a year and a half ago.
Oh.
And in New York, it's an institution that has existed for 20 years.
I am on their mailing list. Like, I get the emails from the Museum of Sex in New York because I remember, like, I went there once and I was like, this place is awesome. And then I realized recently that there's one here too.
So we just opened, a year and a half ago, and but it is an established institution already that has done very important research and work about human sexuality, both from a historical perspective and also from an artistic perspective, for 20 years. We were talking about subjects like transvisibility years and years ago before
Right.
it was a thing, at least in the main discourse.
In the mainstream.
And so I love that about the space, about the institution, and I like that we take a perspective that is very like academic. We talk about a subject that might be super controversial, and I can give you an example. Like we have a show in New York now that we are bringing to Miami, which is a show on sex cults and communes. And sex cults. When you think cults,
Big fans of cults.
when you think cults, you can think
Big
about
fan
all kinds of things. You can think
Oh,
about some of these cults had like real positive contributions to society. In terms of queer liberation, in terms of childbirthing and natural birthing, which I know like, your family is involved in. Like there's a lot of research and documentation about how this, back in the day it was illegal for women to give birth outside of a hospital in the United States. And these women like rebelled against it, and they were like, no, we're going to be nudist, and we're going to live in a commune, and we're going to give birth to our children in a natural way. But there was also abuse, and there was also all kinds
Which
of
comes often
negative
in a cult.
things. Of course.
It might start off good, but then
So what
goes
we
there.
do is like we take a very zoomed out, factual, historical lens, and we're able to see, all of these things and to talk about them in an open way without so many biases.
Right.
And
Separating
we work with
the art from the
experts.
artist, so to say.
In a way, yes. I mean, for me, that conversation is more like a spectrum. It's not like a black or white.
Right.
And I think about most things are as spectrums, And we can talk about separating the art from the artist so much. There's so much, even people getting like heat for saying one thing or another. Like Rosalia just got into like a whole thing for saying she liked Picasso, and people were like, he was an abuser. So it's like we can, have a whole other podcast about that only. But the Museum of Sex, like I think we do a really good job at like being able to talk about hard things that are necessary, and in a way that is like, well researched, with the right experts, in an academic and also super fun way.
And it's also talking about something that wouldn't normally be spoken about, but now again, you're making it educational and okay to like learn about, and like something you wouldn't normally see or learn about.
So that's been like super fun.
So you started with them when they started?
I started a little bit later than when they opened in Miami.
Okay.
And I started being like the managing director. And there was another curator there who I had collaborated with a lot. And he was a really wonderful man. He left, he had a baby, he left, and now I'm doing the curatorial work and the managing director work of both New York and Miami locations.
Oh, wow.
So you travel to...
Yeah, I don't travel that much, like 3 times a year, but like the team is so good, very small, very efficient, both locations, and we manage. Yeah, and it's really, really fun.
So I actually wanted to ask you whether there are a lot of men in this field, because in my mind, in the field of arts, like it could go one way or another. Either there are a lot of men or there aren't. Like I genuinely don't know. But then specifically in this kind of world of art, are there a lot of men? A, and then if so, what is it like being a woman in that realm, working with a lot of men?
Well, in general, in my career, I've always felt surrounded by women in the art world. There's a lot of women, there's a lot of hetero men, there's a lot of gay men, there's everything. There's a really, I feel like, gender-wise, a lot of diversity, gender-wise. Maybe not like socioeconomic or maybe racial, that's another conversation. But when I had a period of my life where I worked in tech art a lot, and I actually wrote a book about crypto art, the crypto art movement, and I was in the rabbit hole of crypto super deep from like 2019 until 2023. Like that's
Really?
all I did. Yeah. I wrote this book, and that's all the exhibitions I
Like all the
curated.
NFTs and stuff.
Yeah, that was like, I wrote that whole way from beginning to end, and it was great. It was sad that it was over, but there's like a legacy that continued that will like be in the art world, like in the art history books as a movement, you know.
That monkey, right?
Yeah, that, you know, there was like a lot of part to this movement.
Right.
Some of them were more like fine art, and some
Right.
of them were more like the value of community, which is like the monkey. But in that field, there were 0 to none women. They were. I literally remember the
That
first
makes
time I
sense.
used to go to like crypto conferences, and there were no women in the bathroom, no lines, like no, you know, you could count with one hand like the amount of women on the floor.
Wow.
And then I found like 3 women that I actually loved working with, and we founded this collective for like NFT, for like crypto art, called Clit Splash. That's how I got, you know,
got
into
you.
like erotic art through the blockchain.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Super
What,
crazy.
like a
Super crazy, unexpected.
Wow.
But it's because it was like, we
I would
need
never have
more
connected
like
that.
women's stories here.
Yeah.
Not only women, like there was no conversation for like queer people to be had in like tech art. It was super bro culture, gamer culture, which is interesting, and they, you know, there needed to be a space for that kind of art because it's also reflecting society in a way.
Sure.
But we were like, we want to be the voice of like women and other, you know, genders in this space as well. And I found that because a lot of people use crypto as like a non-censored space, you could find like way more expression in the erotic that you could find. You could never see that in Meta, like Instagram. It would like take
Yeah.
it down,
Right.
right? There's all kinds of digital censorship, which has been a big part of the resistance that I've had, you know, that we have as the museum. Huge challenge, like the censorship from all sides.
Right. I was like, I remember like looking you guys up on TikTok, and it kept saying Museum of Says, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just
Oh.
sex.
Yeah.
So like
You
you have
say-
problems posting things, talking
Yeah.
about things.
Even you know, because crypto platforms eventually also got regulated because of all the scams and stuff. Like, right, they just didn't know how to regulate it and
Sure.
what to regulate.
Anything that gets
But I
big.
remember that we wanted to work with a platform to sell like these artists NFTs, and they didn't, like, they turned us down because they couldn't write clit. And I was like, it's a body part, you know, like it's
Literally.
a body part. Like,
It's a shorthand
and
of
we
an
had to,
actual
like, yeah.
anatomical feature.
we had
yeah.
to justify like our mission, and like we're legit not like everybody's like it's porn, so the algorithm will like flag it as porn, and we had to justify it, you know, the whole art, like artistic background and like the importance of it. And sometimes people listen and sometimes, you know, they don't,
They
but
just brush it off because it's not important to
or
them.
it just doesn't get anywhere, you know, to the right person who can
Yeah.
make a decision about it. But
Wow.
it's part of the fun, the resistance, you know.
Figuring it out, the
We've had
challenge.
everything. Like I did shows before I was at the Museum of Sex with Clit Splash, where we had like protests at the door.
What?
Oh my
Like
God.
far,
That's exciting.
super exciting.
That's exciting.
I mean,
It means you're doing
it's
something.
Florida, you know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Very.
It's
I mean,
interesting.
it's cool to see that something so basic, part of the human body, can create such an uproar in people to the point that they feel the need to fucking protest at the door, block people from coming in. Like, it is really cool to stand on the other side of that and be like,
I
also
love
get
the
a life.
dialogue. I love the dialogue. I love the controversy. I'm like, bring it, you know, like not in a bad way, but I'm like, you know, for example, we did this Clit Splash show in Dania Beach at the Mad Arts Museum.
Oh.
And a lot of the people who work there were heterosexual men who, like, maybe 99% of them. I think it was me and another girl that was like working there, and they were asking questions like, "What does queer mean? Like, what's the difference between queer and gay?" And I was like, "Great! This is our job. This is what we're here to do. I love that you're like coming to me and asking me those questions because." Otherwise, how would they be exposed? You know, we live in little bubbles like New York or LA or Miami, and we think
Right.
everybody has the same algorithm. It's the opposite. Like everybody has an echo chamber where they live and where they get like certain amounts of information, and they don't know anything else about anything else.
100%.
So that is kind of like the fun part of the job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So she mentioned to me that you worked at Mad Arts. It's down the street from our house, like walking distance. We
Wow.
go there all the time now.
Nice.
But for a long time, I think we didn't really know what was going on there. It's also changed over the years. It used to be like the Gallery of Amazing Things. It was a venue where you could like rent it for parties, but then it turned into Mad Arts, and it's such an amazing, cool space.
It is.
And they're starting to do so much more with it. Now they have that Ignite festival every year, and they do parties out in the yard, which
Yeah.
what a waste of space it's been all this time. Like,
I
do
know.
something. It's such an incredible space you have there.
Such a good
And it's
space.
so convenient for the community. Like you don't really have much.
I
know,
am
nothing.
so happy to have something like that in our community so close by.
Yeah.
We try to go as often as we can for whatever we can. But I would pass by it for years. That's where it's where I turn to get home every day.
Wow.
Or like to our house. And every day I would look through the window and there's people on their Macs like working, and I'm like, what are they doing in there?
Yeah.
And you were probably one of those people.
100%. I was
Wow.
there from like 2022, 2023. I don't know
So
when
cool.
I stopped there.
And I actually spent a long time there in elementary school, and it used to be the Science Museum. I forget what it was actually called, but it used to be not a science museum, Museum of Natural History.
Yeah, with a
And our school
With
did
a
with a big
dinosaur.
dinosaur.
Well,
on
no,
the
It's
door.
still there. The
when-
dinosaur is still there.
When Mom was like, "Wait, what are you guys talking about?" I was like, "The building with the dinosaur."
Yeah.
She was
Everybody
Yeah,
knows it
It's
as the-
so
everybody knows that.
nostalgic, and like we spent a week there studying Egyptian history, and I'm just like,
So out of context, it's hilarious.
yeah, no, it's just
like-
it's just that place has had such
Full
a
of dinosaurs.
history,
In the
and
middle
it's
of
such
the
a cool
swamp.
place. So what did you do when you worked at Mad Arts?
So I helped them build an NFT platform for public art. Like what I loved about the project that they were doing at Mad Arts, like this collaboration that they had with Ignite. Ignite is actually Broward Cultural Affairs. It's public art. So
Yeah.
they were doing things that were free and open to the community.
Yep.
And I learned a lot about that. And we wanted to bring in a digital aspect to public art because, you know, like I have kids, like 70% of our interactions are digital. It's a way to make it participatory, way to make it engaging, a way to make public art like maybe live in your phone, maybe give you access to a community, maybe give you access to voting about the next public art systems. Like we were developing this kind of systems with Broward County.
Very cool.
And we did it also like from Mad Arts. They also did it for like Coral Gables and for different cities around the US because we were like pioneering a model for like digital public art. And we did our own exhibitions. We built an NFT platform from scratch. Like, they're super talented tech people there.
Yeah, the
like,
exhibitions there are beautiful.
like-
We've gone to
state of the art.
several different ones.
Hardware, software.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
We recently went because actually my neighbor, somebody who lives right across from me, she started doing like a series there of women music. Or no, wait, actually no, I think the first one was
Women music.
Women,
Is it
women
women
in mu-
for music or
women in
women
music?
musicians?
Musicians, women musicians, whatever. I don't think they're all women. I think she's just starting a local,
I was very full.
local musicians, artists coming there to do monthly like things. However, the first one was women, but when we went, it was you buy a ticket to the thing, but then you got access to the first whole floor. And so we went to look at some of the art installations, and some of them were still there that have been there, that are more permanent, but there was a bunch of new ones, and they were incredible.
Incredible.
And the stuff they have there is just so cool. Did you end up walking around and seeing anything?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And what I really love about them specifically is that they're really good at supporting artists, like especially good. Like they go all out 120% for the artist. Like if the artist has an idea,
Just letting them do what they
imagine
want.
an artist like you have an idea and it requires like motion capture and all this like expensive equipment. They're like,
Bring it.
and they make their dreams happen there. And it's this like underground place in the middle of US 1, like in the middle of nowhere.
It's so unassuming.
And artists are like, when they walk in there, they're like, where am I? Like, am I in a Disney studio? It's
Yes,
insane.
It's a very, very cool place.
And they really like support artists, you know.
And I've been to like Art Tech House where there's incredible installations, but honestly, it's on
It's
the
better.
same
Yeah.
level or better. I've
Yeah.
seen some incredible stuff there that I was like blown away by.
Same.
One of the rooms, it was almost felt like you were in space. There was this like structure on the wall with these holes and these lights coming through. I think I stood in there for more than 15 minutes. Like I couldn't leave because it was also like not the
Meditative.
same thing starting over again. It was just like ever changing situation. And I at one point I was like, I've been in here for a very long time.
Let's move on.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
move on, but it's really fascinating. Just a very, very cool place. And I
love-
feel so blessed to have that in our
I love
neighborhood.
places like that where, like, that they're out of the mainstream, that they're like unexpected. Like for me, I don't know if I could. I've never searched for like a regular job at a gallery or a regular job at a museum or a regular job at an art fair. I'm like, I want the weird, unexpected cultural models that, you know, that artists can develop in new ways, or that I can push the boundaries somehow that don't really exist in the mainstream. Like that's what
100%.
I'm interested in.
With the Museum of Sex, what has been like your favorite reaction to like an exhibit? Like somebody, like, and mind you, it could be like positive or negative, like something that like really was like, I remember this person reacting.
One of the things that I love is when I see groups of like 60-year-old women, like a group of like 8 best friends, like 60-year-old women who knows what their life was like. Maybe they had like I imagine like maybe they had like super traditional marriages, or like, you know,
Right.
and they didn't live at a time like we do where we can just say whatever and do whatever, and they come and it's like you could see that their mind expanded, or, you know, at that point they don't care, or like they would like admit to a kink, or, you know, feel themselves reflected in the work in a way. I love that. Or when I
She
see
said mom.
couples.
Mom and her friends. That's
Yeah,
exactly
I love
that
that.
demographic.
That's like one of my favorite demographics. I also love to see couples come in, like all kinds of couples, and sort of like testing each other. And it's like, do you like that? Like, do you like that? You know. And my favorite thing about the Museum of Sex is that we have an audience that comes for the fun, because we have a whole interactive area that is playful.
I really want to come.
should all come.
To the. First of all, yes, we've
That's
been
what she
wanting to come. This weekend is my very last weekend of teaching a teacher training, but for the last several months, I've been teaching a teacher training every single weekend, and so I genuinely have not had the time. But once we get back from Japan, we need to go, because we've been dying to go. I really want to go to the Booby Bounce House.
Yeah. I love them. I mean, I had breast cancer, and I brought like all my doctors to the Booby Bounce House. And it was amazing. They were like filming content, and they were like, you know, touch yourself. Like it was really amazing. So
I love that.
it's like, you know, things that can be interpreted as sexual, but they, you know, it's also like our bodies.
Yeah.
And I always say, you know, I have 2 kids that are 10 and 9, and they ask questions, you know. They know I work in the Museum of Sex, so they're like, you know,
Tell us
what is
more.
this? And I'm like, it's how we make life. It's like the most sacred thing there is, you know. It's not just like, you know, we think of sex and we immediately think like casual sex. It's like, no,
Yeah.
we make babies, we make life, like it's
Like you
communion.
said, it's a spectrum.
Right, it's communion. It's like all this. It's you know, 2 things becoming one. It's like it's a whole thing, and there's like endless topics of research that we could go over, and you know, so
I can only imagine the
interesting.
questions.
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
I was thinking about that earlier. You mentioned, I think, something about your kids, or I don't know, but I thought of like, I wonder, because I would imagine that they have questions, and they're also at the age where they're
Every
very
child has
curious.
questions, but more so when you know that your mom can
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
like, answer.
Hilarious questions also.
What do
Hilarious
they ask
questions.
you?
Listen, there was my daughter, I think a few years ago. This was the funniest conversation we ever had. One day we were driving, like at 6 p.m., you know, they're coming out of their
May I?
afternoon activities, everybody's tired. We're driving, and all of a sudden, you know, she turns around and there's like this truck driver on the road, and she's like, Mommy, does that guy have 2 balls or 3 or 3 balls or 4 balls? And I'm like,
Oh no.
there's like, does she mean soccer balls? Like, I don't even know how to answer, like how to interpret this question. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you know, cause like Papi has 2 balls because he has 2 kids. Like maybe my uncle has 3 balls because and I'm like, she thinks we're like turtles, you know, we're like
That's so
I'm like,
It's
wow.
also such a cute way of like interpreting it.
I was
Yes!
like, I love this assumption.
Oh my god, how cute.
Also, though, can you imagine if men are walking around with like 10 balls in their
God. What would Nick Cannon's pants look like?
Oh my god, no, he would have to have surgery. He would not be okay.
He would have to.
That would already be like
removals. Oh
so
my
then,
God.
so then my son, who's just 1 year older, and this was like a few years ago, he's like, "No, stupid. The man puts his pee in the vagina," and I was like, "How do you know that?" I was like, "I'm driving." I'm like, "Wait."
They talk at school. They talk over.
I was like, I'm not ready for this conversation. And then he's like, "My friend's older brother told me." I'm like, "Okay, this is bad." Like, and then he's like, "Mommy, what's 69?" I'm like, "Wait." I promise.
It's a number that's before 70, and don't ever listen to this boy again.
I promise I will answer all of your questions, but you gotta give me like 24 hours.
I gotta put my research together.
I did not expect this.
When was
it?
it?
So funny. They were like maybe 8 and 9 or 7 and 8. It was hilarious.
So funny.
And I was like, okay, I
Mommy,
bought.
what's
I was
69?
like, I need to buy a book.
They were just like super casually, like, "Hey, mom."
Hey, Mom.
I feel like that's how it is though when you're a kid because you don't fully understand.
You don't
Like,
put.
it's uncomfortable to us, but as a kid, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
You start to learn more because of society that it's weird, and then you feel uncomfortable. But I feel like for me, that's how I ask my questions. I listened to Eminem because my brother listened to Eminem, and so I asked my mom in the car one day. I was like, "What's a clitoris?" Very nonchalantly, and
Yeah.
she lost her shit. She didn't know what to do. And I was just like, "But Eminem talks about it. It can't be that big of a deal."
So, years and years and years ago, when I'm saying like, I want to say like in the 5th grade, maybe 6th grade, right? So I live in Israel, we were living in Israel, and it was an unusual thing, but they brought in like a sexual education person to speak with our class. I honestly don't know why. I don't know if it was planned or whatever, but it was what it was. And we had like a whole day with this person, and like the first half of the day was kind of like a lecture thing, and then I think it was a woman. I honestly don't remember. I just see it like as a silhouette of a person. They told us like, "I want you to write questions that you have about sex, sexuality, loving, whatever it is that you have that's about like your growing body, your adolescence, your anatomy, whatever. Write the questions down, but put them on little pieces of paper. You don't have to write your name, so it's completely
I love
anonymous,
that.
and like
Smart.
nobody feels embarrassed about the questions
That's
that they
smart.
have." Now, at the time, Mom had multiple books around the house that were like ever so slightly sexual in nature. And I am a very curious girl, so I would read them too. So I had a
What's this book
plethora
about?
of very like surface level knowledge of terms that I didn't know what they meant, but I knew that they existed.
Do you remember some of those books?
Yes, in Hebrew. I'll show you later. But one of the questions, I still cringe when I think of it, but like I was a child, like why would I know this? I wrote, what is, and in my head I was thinking of Sodom and Gomorrah, but I wrote Pitom Ramses, because because it was two names, this and that. In my head, it was interchangeable with the other. And when the person got to that note, they were like, I have no
Wait,
idea what this means.
Can you? I'm sorry. Can you explain?
Okay, so there is the tale of Sodom and
I
Gomorrah,
understand.
which
But
is
what were the words you said?
Pitom and Ramses. I don't know how you would say
What is
that.
pitom?
Pitom is
It's a name.
suddenly.
No, because I think it's names.
I know what Ramses
Maybe it's like
is.
pharaohs.
Okay, so
Oh,
it's
maybe.
one of them.
Okay.
But like biblical stories with like this
Two names.
And the teacher's like, I don't know what this
and the
is.
teacher was like, I have no idea what this is about. And I wasn't about to raise my hand. Actually, I meant
I read a
Sodom
book.
and Gomorrah. So I just like stayed with it for a minute, and then
Wow.
I realized that I made a mistake, and it still lives within me.
Clearly,
I was in the
clearly.
fifth
Now you
grade.
released it.
Now I know
Yeah,
that what
now
I
you
meant
know
was
what
Sodom
it
and
is.
Gomorrah,
So
and now I
funny.
know what that means too.
It sounds fun.
Do you have a sex ed story that you'd like to
Honestly,
share?
I remember hearing that story, and I'm like, why was everybody having a problem with that city? It sounded like a riot.
It sounded like a real good time.
It sounded like a real good time.
I'd still visit.
Like a fun version of Vegas.
Might fuck around and find out.
No, Vegas sucks.
Ugh, I
I'm
hate
just saying
Vegas.
that is what Vegas is like. That is the epitome of that story, though. Sorry.
Yeah. It sounded like a lot of fun to me.
Anything, Daff?
No, I can't remember
What? Come on.
really asking too many questions.
You didn't have sex ed in school though, where you like asked a weird question or?
We had sex ed, and the teacher's name was Mr. Kush, so we always like laughed at that, and that's
Kush with
That's
a K?
K-U-S-H, I believe.
Very fun.
No, K-U-S-C-H.
Okay,
a little different.
but pronounced Kush.
And I remember it being like, okay, well, Mom was already a doula at the time, so the topic of vaginas and the such.
We've been seeing
And
babies
the
being
such.
born for
Yeah, it wasn't
How
like,
babies are made.
Yeah,
You
it
knew.
wasn't it
Biological.
You were educated.
I mean,
early
she heard
on.
multiple times that she was adopted, but so she didn't really
It
know.
didn't
Too.
bother me.
That was also my.
But, and then one time, I remember in that sex ed class, the teacher showed a video of a woman giving birth, and everybody was freaking out. And I think I had already seen a video
You were like,
because,
whatever.
Mom showed me a video,
Yeah.
and I was just like, okay, whatever. But
Unimpressed.
unimpressed.
Next one.
No, I was.
there, done
I was
that.
impressed because I was like, damn, like a head that looks crazy.
Why do they
you
do
know?
that? To scare kids not to have sex?
Well, that
Or-
makes sense. That makes sense.
Probably.
Showing a video like that in sex
Yeah.
ed.
Honestly,
is
probably.
a
I was in
great
5th grade or like 6th
strategy.
grade. Like not 5th grade. Maybe
Elementary
I was
school.
in 8th grade.
What? Usually it's in elementary school.
I was in
Really?
No.
No.
Yes, I had my sex ed in 5th grade. I know because I came home to Brandon and I went. I learned what a wet dream was today. So excited about it. I don't know why I was excited. And he was like, "Oh my god, ew! Don't talk to
That
me."
seems early.
Yeah, 5th grade is early.
I went to a public school, and that was when they did it. 5th
I don't
grade.
think my kids learn that.
In 8th grade is when we had our sex ed.
The reason I know that is because I was homeschooled in 6th and 7th grade. So I know it was in 5th grade.
That makes sense. But no, I didn't really like have a lot of those conversations with Mom and Dad. And to be honest, when I was in my, the beginning of my sexual
awakening.
Thank you. I was actually very quiet about it, and I did not want to share anything, and I didn't, like, it was very personal to me, and I didn't want to like talk about it.
So at that point, you
And
had Google.
Mom tried to ask me about it, and I was like, don't
Yeah.
talk to
I
me
mean,
about this.
same. This was the reason I was excited was because I was young, and it was before I was anywhere near having a sexual awakening. Once that started, I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. But as a young person learning about it, I was like, this is so exciting.
But it's
I
actually
know what
always,
this is.
it's always been really interesting to me that I didn't want to talk about it because Mom was always very, very open about it, and there was it wasn't like a taboo subject at home. Like
Do you think it's the way that mothers address it that
100%.
will make
Mom would
you?
get me all the books.
So
all the
like
books.
I think my mom did something like very smart, which is that like before I was ready, she came to me one day and she was like, if you ever think about having sex, you need to tell me. I will take you to a doctor. You will get pills and you won't get pregnant. And I was like, ew, what are you talking about? I was maybe like 13 when she said that. I was like, you're insane, whatever. But then I remember when the time came, I was like, I need to tell my mom.
I remember.
And she's gonna help me.
Aw.
And like, you know, how smart is that? That like,
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen
No,
at the time where
it was like no
awkward.
judgment, you know?
It came before you were ready, so by the time you
Yeah.
were ready, that was already a thought in the back of
It was
your
like
mind.
planted in my head that
That's smart.
this is my instruction.
Yeah, it's
Right.
very smart.
so
No
maybe
further thoughts, you know?
maybe that was like the better, but I don't know. But she came up to me and we were just sitting, like I was like eating my lunch, we were chatting, and the reason that she asked me is because I was with my boyfriend a few nights before, and it was dark in my room, and my dad didn't know that I was home, and he didn't see anything, he just like knocked on the door, and he's like, because he saw my car was there, and he was like, Daph, are you home? And I was like, yes, don't come in here. And then I was like, please get out of the room. He left, and then like
Of
2 days
course.
later, my mom was like, so like,
The birds and the bees.
Please don't get pregnant.
should we talk about this shit? And then she said this, she was like, she's like, I genuinely just want to know, and like I want to get you pills if you need them, you know, like very not judgmental, very
Right.
open, perfect, you know. She was
How
perfect.
hard is that for a mom?
So I can only imagine how many the mental gymnastics
Yeah.
that were going through her mind of how to approach
It's
me
just like
about
trying
it.
to be
Here's the
chill.
thing, Beth, if yours wasn't the first time.
For sure,
And
but
also, like,
She had
imagine
practice.
this, like, for example, wait, what year was this?
like 2010 or 2011.
Great, so this was
So young.
after I had an abortion. And who took me to my abortion? Mom did.
Amazing.
And why did mom take me to the abortion? Because she made an appointment for me and her to go visit this new gynecologist who is now like,
Oh, you found out there?
as we were driving to the appointment, I go to mom, I was like, Mom, I don't remember the last time I had my period. And she was like, okay, they'll check when we get there.
But that's actually such a beautiful situation. I feel like most people don't go with their moms. They ask a friend or like it's a very
No,
uncomfortable
because I told her, I was like,
situation.
hey,
That's
Mom, I
such a
think I need to go
beautiful.
see a gynecologist, yada, yada, yada. She was like, okay, yeah, there's this new guy, Dr. Levine. There's this new guy. We'll go to him. And then we each had to fill out our paperwork, and she left she was like, I have to go pee. Can you hold this for me? And she left it on the page where it showed that she had had one too, like for me to like see that like there's absolutely
Whoa,
no
what a
judgment whatsoever.
genius.
And I was like, so I saw that, and at first I was so distraught because I'm like, I legitimately don't remember when was the last time I had my last period, and I definitely don't want to be pregnant. I'm not ready to have kids. I was 19 years old.
How cool of her to do that.
And she came back, and I was like, thank you. And she was like, you're welcome. And then it came back positive very, very quickly. And within less than a week, we had an appointment. He didn't perform. And yeah,
Could you do that in Florida back in the day?
yes. And it was almost a little too late because I was living in La La Land.
Wow,
Because
that's
now you
crazy.
wouldn't be able to.
No, back in the day, it was very easy and simple here.
I think it cost an extra $100 because like it was a few days after like a certain period, or I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, now not so much.
I
Yeah.
don't think it was covered by insurance though.
I don't think
No,
it's
of
ever a
course
thing
not.
that's covered by insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's something about like parents who approach sexuality and approach
Yeah.
all of that with very little judgment, just realizing that we're all human beings and we're
I had the opposite
We do.
situation. I had a friend of mine when we were 16 who got pregnant and could definitely not talk to her parents about it. And, you know, Caracas in the 2000s, early 2000s, like going to a random place, just like, come with me. I'm still traumatized from that situation. Like,
Like the place itself.
I was like,
And you
I don't
went
know
with
if
her to
I
get-
went with her to get an abortion, and I don't think, I remember thinking, you know, we were 16 years old. I remember thinking at that time, like, I don't think I could do this. Like, I don't think I would go through with this. Like, it was, you know, not seamless or smooth in any possible way.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you think it was dangerous?
Yeah.
Like it could have been dangerous for her.
100%.
For many years, those places they were back alley,
Yeah.
scary places.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
no,
Like, you should
mine
be able
was
to
in
go
Mount
somewhere
Sinai.
safe.
It was Lux.
Yeah, best case scenario.
Yeah,
It's so fucking scary, man.
lovely. Honestly, a great experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Yeah. But we can't control that so much.
Yeah.
No.
No, unfortunately not. But no, thankfully,
I have a final thought.
please.
So this week, I got an email, which I thought was really interesting. It's normally an email that I delete right away because it's like got nothing important. But it was an email from the Miami Beach commissioner, and the title, the subject of the email was "She's got chutzpah." So I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. So I started reading it, and it's actually about they're naming this street after this lady.
Naomi Wilson.
Yes,
I
I
worked
figured you
there.
would know. You worked
I
there?
did a project with him.
That was
Yeah.
literally gonna be my question: is do you know about it? Were you ever
Oh my
involved?
God. Do you know her story?
I read about her story today. She's an incredible.
Somebody needs to do a film about
yes,
her
she's
life.
an incredible woman.
Yeah.
Grew up Orthodox Jewish with a husband from Auschwitz, and then later in her life started collecting this erotic art, and then opened this place. And that's why it was called She's Got Chutzpah, because she had a lot of backlash, and like people were like, "What are you doing? This is crazy!" And like it's amazing she even got it started in the first place.
Crazy.
But
Okay, I
now-
love finding new role models.
Now,
Oh my
totally,
God.
and
Total
like,
role model.
and the commissioner was basically, or maybe it was the mayor, whoever was writing the email, was basically just saying like, I'm so proud of our city, like honoring this woman, naming a street after her, like praising her for her.
I have so much
efforts.
to say about her.
But it's just so cool. She has 4,000 pieces of erotic art dating back 300 BCE. So now.
Insane. It's insane. Not only, her collection is incredible, her collection, there's pieces there that might be more valuable than any other museum, like the PAM, like you name it. She has pieces there by like Rembrandt.
Wow.
Which, we don't have those kind of collections in this city.
Right.
Yeah.
She has pieces by Rembrandt that are so obscene that people like would not fit into their brains that
We have two
Rembrandt
places
did
we need
this,
to go.
You know?
We have to go there too.
And her life story is so crazy because, the fact that she grew up Orthodox and all of that. She went to Berlin at some point when the wall fell, and she got into like the underground
Ooh, Berlin will make any
scene.
woman a freaking little freak.
She was in this underground scene, and she made a friend who was like a gay man who was like her best friend from life. And I think his parents were like actual Nazis.
Wow.
Oh wow.
And they became best friends,
What
and they
the-
had photos like hanging out with Hugh Hefner, and they had like the coolest friendship and the coolest life. And it was like a friendship that was almost like healing history, like
Yeah.
that. And not only did she collect erotic art and like the most important kind, but she actually also collected like Torah, like important historical Torahs.
What a fascinating tapestry.
Which is my
a
favorite
life.
thing to like like religion and sexuality, like this intersection is like fascinating.
Absolutely.
And she donated one of these very important original like Torah books to a synagogue here on Miami Beach. And men have to sign like as witnesses for this Torah to be like donated to the synagogue. And she had this man who was her gay best friend with parents who were Nazis, who is of course not Jewish, signing in the synagogue for
I
this
love
Torah book.
that.
And he's the man in charge of that collection right now.
I love
Oh
that.
my god.
I love every word
her
that just came out of
Have
your
to have
mouth.
like a kinky little day and
It's
go to
so
like, the
crazy
Necessities
because her
Museum.
family-
That's what I just said. We
Erotic
have to
museum, we
go
have
to
to
both
do.
of these places.
Because I don't know, a lot of her family doesn't approve that she has this collection. They would just sell it off for whatever it's
yeah.
worth. And this man would never.
Yeah.
And she died in 2015.
I figured I didn't look
Listen.
that far. I was like, it sounds like she might not be alive anymore.
What a boss.
For
I
real.
literally went there and
Really
listened to him
truly.
tell me the whole story. And I did a project called the Erotica Biennale, where like I gathered like everything erotic that I could find in Miami. And we had like we had shows there at the Wilsig and movie screenings and like all kinds of
I
things.
never knew it existed until I got this email, and how weird that I get it right before you're going to be on this week. And I was like, how fascinatingly connected.
Serendipitous.
It's really truly.
Serendipitous.
I was just like, this is so cool. It's just such an interesting thing. And how have I never heard of this? Like, how do I not know this exists? And this woman, like everything about it.
People
And
think
she is
sometimes
so
when
cool.
I say like the Museum of Sex, they're like, oh, the World Erotic, the WEAM,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
called
yeah.
the World Erotic. And I'm like, no, but I know what you're talking about. But again, no, Miami has this like underground, like fascinating
That's right. I get emails
history.
from them too. Damn, I'm signed up for everybody.
You can't read all
Really
the emails.
fascinating stuff, and that's so cool that
I
you
know.
do have an interconnection or like experience. with them.
I feel like somebody needs to write this woman's life history and do like a
Truly,
Netflix series.
even just a small bit.
I need to do it.
Even the small bit that I read in this email
And I need to do
was
it
so
fast
fascinating.
because
Sign us up
her
as
partner
producers.
is not young, and she just died. So
Okay.
I feel like
Okay.
I need to like.
I think
probably
this is
take
a
his
project you need
testimony.
to do. I feel
Yeah.
like this was the catalyst or
Yeah,
the introduction.
For sure, I need to find the time.
What's her name? Naomi
Wilsig.
Wilsig.
So they named the street after her, which is
Yes.
so cool.
Yes.
Which street is it?
It's by
12th
Ocean
and
Drive.
something.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so Miami Beach.
Is that where the museum is?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 12th and Collins.
12th and Ocean Drive, between Ocean and Washington, a portion of 12th Street
So 2 streets away from Max Club
called
Juice.
Naomi
It has a
Wilsig
whole
Way.
block.
So
Cheers
two,
to Naomi.
Naomi
Naomi.
Wilsig.
Love
And
Naomi.
to Tamara.
Yes,
Thank you so
so
much for
much.
coming.
Thank you
much
so
for
much for
coming.
having me.
You're almost as fascinating as her, if not
Truly.
just
God,
as.
my
Truly.
goal.
Truly. Goals.
Absolutely.
I need the money to make a collection like that.
The movie
wonder
will
where
be
she got all
coming
that
to
money
a
from.
theater near you.
You're gonna see Bread Girls as executive producers.